Hi everyone, I'm Wayne Allen Root for Asset Strategies International. I'm here with Rich Checken, my old friend. Hey Rich.
Good to be here, Wayne.
Rich, of course, is the Senior Vice President and COO, Chief Operating Officer of Asset Strategies. And Asset Strategies has a new strategy. It's called Rare Tangible Assets. And my question for you is, everyone knows you from gold, silver, platinum, palladium, precious metals. Why are you expanding beyond that base?
Well, great question. The first thing just to clear up front is we're not vacating the precious metals market.
Of course.
We're still very firm believers in precious metals now more than ever. Gold, silver form the wealth insurance aspect of your portfolio. First, foremost, and always, that's where we take people. But in this environment, I think you're probably with me on this one, we're not buying into the recovery. And to us, the traditional means of investments, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, really have been failing all of us for the past decade or more.
Correct.
So we've been on the hunt, basically, for the past 6-7 years for another option, another viable option for investors in this current environment where traditional investments fail you.
All right, so under the umbrella of this new strategy, what are these new assets?
Well, they're not new. What's old is new again.
New for you.
Understand. What's old is new again. We're talking about rare gold coins, silver coins, etc., collectible coins, and rare investment grade stamps.
So actually, to the contrary, they're old. They're not new.
They are.
They're old
may be
and
new
they're
to
valuable.
investors.
Old and valuable.
Yeah.
All right, and talk about the economy. I mean, you know, we're here, for those who don't know, I'm the author of a national bestseller called The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, and Rich and Michael Checken were integral parts of all the information about precious metals from my book, but we all talk about economics a lot. Rich and I have become good friends. We speak every week, and we both agree that things are not as rosy as they appear. As a matter of fact, as we make this recording at this moment, a new unemployment report is out that shows that happy days are here again, 195,000 jobs created. When you look below the headline, as I've pointed out in many articles and commentaries, it adds up to 360,000 part-time jobs created, the kind of crummy jobs that you don't want, and 240,000 full-time jobs eliminated. So I don't believe happy days are here again. I believe we're on a long downhill spiral that seems to kind of be gathering speed. And it scares the heck out of me that since the start of the year, 500,000 part-time jobs created that nobody really wants, and only 130,000 full-time jobs, net positive 130,000 since the year 2013 began. A very scary scenario. So if that's the case, then what do you do?
Well, and that's what we do is we come up with new strategies, and it's really the impetus behind the Rare Tangible Assets program. We needed something else. I mean, I think most people are oblivious, Wayne, to the sheer destruction, the vaporization of wealth that occurred back in 2007 to 2009.
You're the one who gave me the stat that blew my mind. I didn't know the number. Was it 19.7 trillion?
According to the Federal Reserve, $19.4 trillion vanished from American households. Now, to put that in perspective, and I don't think Carl Sagan could get his mind around this, even though he can comprehend the galaxies and the universe, that's the equivalent of basically one home at 2007 inflated prices, 320 whatever average, disappearing off the face of this earth every 1.7 seconds for a period of 2 years.
Mind-blowing.
Can you imagine? It's wealth vaporization.
I can imagine, because the average net worth of the average American is down 40% since 2007. And there are 90 million working-age, able-bodied Americans who are not working. And so when you add up the numbers, there's 101 million Americans on food assistance from the government, and there's only 97 million Americans working in the private sector. So more people get food stamp checks than work in the United States of America in the year 2013. So anybody who thinks happy days are here again is either crazy and needs to put on a straitjacket, or they watch too much mainstream media, one or the other.
Well, and what's come out of all of this is we've identified the real threat to your long-term wealth. Okay, we talked about the vaporization of wealth, and I don't know our clients out there. Do you remember what that felt like? Do you remember how it affected you, your family, your friends? It was a major episode in our world,
and still is.
And the reason it still is because basically we've implemented easy money fiscal mismanagement. And every time quantitative easing is instituted, whether it be QE1, QE2, Operation Twist,
This
QE3
is the Fed
to
we're
infinity.
discussing, by the way, for
Yeah.
those not understanding, the Federal Reserve and quantitative easing.
Absolutely. Every time quantitative easing and monetary expansion is introduced, we see an increase in stock and home values. And every time...
And car purchases as well,
and
auto
every
purchases.
time they cut it off and they think we've done enough,
Down.
it drops again and they
Right.
have to come in with another bout. And it's no surprise. Back in September 2012, Bernanke told us what he was going to do.
Right.
He said basically that firms, the big problem for firms was nobody was buying their products because people didn't feel comfortable in this environment. And if they could get people feeling better, quote, better about their financial situation, and because maybe their 401k looked better, not was better, looked better, because their home was worth more,
Right.
then that would be the impetus for them to go out and spend, and that spending would be the impetus for firms now to invest and to hire. That's a paraphrased quote that came right out of the Q&A session afterward. It's all smoke and mirrors. He said, I was going to fool people by elevating or escalating or inflating stock and home values in order to get them to feel better
Right.
to spend.
Right.
And it's unsustainable.
Well, it's obviously unsustainable because the latest numbers in it for the past year, disposable income in the United States is down by over 9%, almost 10%.
Yet consumer confidence is at levels,
Highest
high levels not
right.
seen since '05.
They don't even realize that their disposable income is gone.
Exactly.
So it's a frightening scenario, and you need something to protect your wealth, and you need something to multiply your wealth in the midst of all of this crisis and all of this economic Armageddon. And so obviously, as I pointed out in my Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, gold and precious metals is one thing.
One thing, it's your insurance.
But the second thing that's not insurance, that gets away from gold and precious metals, is your new rare tangible assets. And what are those? Rare stamps, rare coins? Tell us about it.
Yeah, the Rare Tangible Assets program currently is two-pronged, and we're always on the lookout for more prongs. But right now, it's rare coins, rare coin program, and rare stamps through Stanley Gibbons. And the reason we settled on these two products or prongs or parts of the strategy are because these asset classes have in common all the elements essential to solve what we think is the real threat to your long-term wealth, which is continued fiscal mismanagement of a fiat currency by politicians pretending to be economists.
And that, of course, brings up an obvious question. What are the commonalities between rare stamps and rare coins?
First and foremost, and you should get this tie with us being metals folks, intrinsic value. This thing needs to be, the asset needs to be valuable in and of itself. It needs to stand on its own two legs. We don't want any management. We don't require it. We don't desire it. And therefore, we don't get any mismanagement either. So
And what else is in common?
Lack of correlation. Okay, we don't want an asset class that moves in tandem with everything else. Right now, it seems that stocks, funds, etc.,
Bonds.
all go up, all go down whenever Bernanke opens his mouth.
Global, international, and United States ones.
No
all
question.
there's no
They're all
defense because they all
watching.
move the same way.
Yeah, so we want something that's uncorrelated, that basically marches to its own beat, its own rhythm, and therefore your whole portfolio is not down at the same time.
As I said when I interviewed your go-to guy, Douglas Winter, a road less traveled, a contrarian investment that is not the typical investment for the average person in the street, and being a contrarian usually pays off.
Absolutely. The other thing we want, and investors should get this, we want a proven track record. Okay, now, we get it. Past performance is no indication of future performance, but you know what? It is the best indicator that we have that anything is going to do well or poorly in the future is how is it done in the past. So
And how have rare coins and rare stamps performed in the past?
they've held up well just in various market conditions, good, bad, and indifferent. So it really, you want something like that as kind of a buffer for your portfolio so, it doesn't ebb and flow with everything else.
So this is really about diversity more than anything else.
No question, no
Right,
question.
diversity is a good thing. What else do they have in common?
It's got to be liquid. What good is an investment if you can't sell it when you need to? So, and although these are asset classes that you tend to hold for a long period of time, you're not really going to buy them and sell them a week or a month or a year or two later. You're really looking 3 to 5 years as a minimum for these types of assets. But there's a ready market, and when you need to sell them, you can.
Anything else in common?
Yeah, there's a few things. Portability, you want to be able to take your wealth with you. It should travel well. okay, and quickly without too much hassle. You want established markets. You know, it talks to the element of trust. It's the people you're buying it from need to be proven. The actual assets themselves need to be verified, checked by reliable, independent third-party services that you know have a handle on this market and can attest to their value.
And you mentioned the background of the people selling it to you. Well, talk about the background of Asset Strategies International.
Well, if I could just add one more thing.
Sure.
Legacy potential. Okay, we think this is critical. If you have something of value, you want to be able to pass it on to your heirs, either on death or, God willing, things are going well and you make the decision you could do it sooner, then it should be an easy, painless process, and both of these can be transferred pretty well.
All right, in the background of Asset Strategies, obviously 30-plus years of credibility.
Yeah, we're coming up this fall, it's 31st year. Seems like yesterday I joined them. I've been with them 17 years now, a little over half the life of the company. But Glenn and Michael started this early on. They believed a well-informed client was your best client. They believe in taking care of people. They don't believe in making a quick buck. They believe in making a fair profit, taking care of people and servicing them over time, and that's the long-term business model. We're not in here to take advantage of people. We're in here to help people, and that's why we're working with second, third generation folks. We believe in rare tangible assets, and it all started, many of our clients have heard this story before, for Glenn and Michael, the epiphany, if you will, was with the Vietnamese refugees. The folks that came over carrying Vietnamese piasters when they came to the refugee camps, when Michael and Glenn were working there for Deke Pereira, helping them transition to the new world, they had something that was absolutely worthless. They had paper that was printed by a government that no longer existed. The folks that were able to transfer wealth across borders were folks that came with real assets, you know, precious gems, precious metals. These can be transferred across borders. They could start their new life. All their work was not for naught. And that's really been the driving force of this company for 30 years. We always look for new ways to get it in people's hands.
So if they'd had rare coins, they had rare stamps, those would have been valuable across any border, and that's hence why they're part of Asset Strategies International.
Have been, still are, and
always will be.
Always will be.
Always will be. And that's why I'm with Asset Strategies International. That's why I've lent my name to a brand that has such credibility for 30-plus years. So, Rich Chekin, thank you for spending this time with us. Let's give a little contact information for everybody out there. There's a toll-free phone number. It's 877-340-0790. I'll repeat that, and you'll find it on the screen as well. 877 toll-free 340-0790. The email is info-ASI for Asset Strategies International, info-ASI@assetstrategies.com. I'm Wayne Allen Root for Rich Chekin and, of course, Michael Chekin and the whole Asset Strategies International family. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.